Discover College Soccer podcast is sponsored by VIO. VIO is the #1 AI camera solution helping players capture college recruitment videos. Check out their new starter and family options by clicking on the link in the description or visit Discover College Soccer to learn more. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Discover College Soccer. Today, I'm lucky enough to be joined by Coach Alex from Gillette College in Wyoming. Welcome, Coach.
Thanks, Matt. Look forward to being here.
Yeah, glad to have you. I've been lucky. I've got to go to Wyoming. Well, it's been a while now, but just beautiful country. Had a blast out there, so I'm sure you're doing the same. But let's talk a little bit about the program. You're a 2-year college, NJCAA. Um, what's it like recruiting to Wyoming, right? I mean, it's not like you guys are in the hustle and bustle of a major metropolis or anything. So talk to me about what it's like recruiting there.
Um, well, yeah, Wyoming. I mean, I'll be honest. When I first thought of it, I'm originally from Florida, so when I first thought of it, I was like, wow, who wants to move to Wyoming? And now that I've been here for a little bit of, over a year, I absolutely love it. And you're right, we're far from major cities. I mean, the biggest city closest to us is Denver, and it's about 5 hours south of us. So you can imagine. So we're in a very rural area, let's just say that. But recruiting, surprisingly, JUCO is a good route for a lot of players from different levels, and it becomes easy to recruit JUCO, especially when you're a D1 JUCO. On an international level, it becomes easy. A lot of players are not so much interested in the location, but the quality, the things that we can offer as a program. So I think that goes a long way. We have great facilities. We probably have some of the best facilities in the nation at the junior college level. So that's a big selling point for us recruiting wise. And the biggest thing when the guys actually get here, they just fall in love with the town. It's a great community. So big selling points for recruiting is the community we're involved in, the facilities that we have. Also, obviously, the financial side of things is a huge plus. Being able to give out scholarships, being able to stack with academic and stuff like that helps. Um, and in the state of Wyoming, there's only one 4-year school, which is University of Wyoming, and they don't have men's soccer. So a lot of local kids are looking for junior college to go that route. So recruiting locally helps a lot. And as you mentioned, Matt, like being in a state that's very, very low populated, the quality of soccer may not be as high as, cities like Los Angeles, Texas, or, even Florida, but you have those local kids that are looking for the junior college route. So that's how kind of recruiting entails. We recruit domestically, we recruit internationally, and those are selling points.
Yeah, so what is a target roster size for you, each season? What's the number you're looking for and how does the mix of domestic international work for you specifically?
Yep. So we luckily for us, we don't have a target number that we have to hit for our roster size. However, I like to keep it anywhere between 28 to 35. And the reason I do that is because in our conference we play back-to-back games. So we play Friday, Saturday. So we got to rotate a lot of players. Then there's injuries, then there's eligibility issues. And then on the international side, some guys don't get their visas approved. So I try to over recruit to physically have anywhere from 28 to 35 guys. The first year we had 30. This second year we're looking at about 33, 34, give or take. But and to answer your question about how does the internationals mesh with the domestic kids, they actually have a great relationship. These domestic kids help these internationals adapt to the life in a place like Wyoming, being not your typical place that you look at if you're an international. If I'm an international, I want to go to LA, I want to go to New York, I want to go to Miami. And these kids help them adapt. But I think it all goes with the culture within the team. We set the culture at the very first day um, that preseason starts. And these guys just learn to love each other and they have each other's back. So we've had the blessing that we've never had any type of issue, conflict between internationals and domestic players.
Oh, that's good. Well, whether you're recruiting international or domestic, what kind of makes up the hierarchy of things you're looking for in a player, whether that's on the field stuff or off the field stuff?
So when I'm looking at players, I look for a lot of things. Obviously we want to find the top guys. We want to get the best players. But I judge a lot in character, how the players speak, how they talk to you on the phone calls. We want good guys. We want guys that are going to come in, do their jobs in and out of the classroom, in and out of the field. And they're just going to be good people in the community. This school is fully funded by the community. We have the second largest booster club in the state of Wyoming after UW. So we want guys that are going to be leaders. We want guys that are going to lead by example within the community, not cause any trouble. So I'd rather take a guy that's just a good kid and is going to come in and do well and work hard that, excuse me, than get the star of the player and is going to cause trouble. So that's what we're looking for. We want that's part of our culture. We want good kids. We want guys that excel, not just on the field, but in the community, in the classroom, and are just good people.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Makes sense. Well, and this, I know it's only your second season coming up, but what is it like for the kids who, are graduating, looking to play other places? How have you been able to kind of help those folks make their next step if that's what they're looking to do?
Yeah. So I think it's a joint work. So it's the effort between me, the effort between the player as well. So we record every game. They create their own highlights, and it all comes down at the college level. 4-year schools are looking for guys that played, guys that have good stats and did well as an individual. So my job is I connect them. I have a huge network of coaches. All my sophomores transferred this year, whether it was D1, D2, NAI, D3, they all transferred. I strongly believe there's a home for every player. You just got to find your niche. You got to find the right place. So it's a joint task. They do their part. They reach out to coaches. I reach out to coaches. I share videos. And I try to tell them, hey guys, you got to start early on. After the season's over, start reaching out. Start pushing buttons. And on top of that, I share my players. 4-year level schools, they recruit a lot of JUCO players because they come with that 2-year experience, right? It's having those 2 years coming in as a junior, being able to play at this level 2 years goes a long way. Sometimes for 18-year-old fresh out of high school, it can be an adaptive period if you go to a 4-year school. So we work together. I work individually with each player, each sophomore. We work together. They give me a list. I try to reach out to the coaches. We work on it together. And at times I have coaches that reach out to me and say, hey, Alex, what sophomores do you got? And I share them, or hey, I'm looking for a goalkeeper. Hey, I got one. Check out this video. So on and so forth. So it's part of the process and we work together on it.
No, it makes a lot of sense. Well, in terms of the school itself, what have obviously you're not from Wyoming, so what
Right.
have you found to be kind of the outstanding things about the school? What drew you to school? What should people get excited about?
So, well, number one, I have to say the facilities, we have a basketball arena it's unreal. We have the best soccer field in the conference, and I say that confidently. But number one is the people that surround you here. We're a community college. We're a 2-year school. We're a small school. I can easily pick up the phone and call financial and say, "Hey, can you help me with this?" And they're always willing to help. Sometimes in big schools, to get a hold of financial aid can be tough. So those are things that stick out for me. Not only just the facility, it's just the people that are part of this college. And that's been a blessing. I feel comfortable just calling admissions, calling financial aid, calling the registrar. That sticks out. And I mean, if you're talking about the town of Gillette, the infrastructure in this town, I mean, is unbelievable. It's a 40,000 people town, but it's unbelievable.
No, that's great. Well, whether it's domestic or international kids, it can be hard transitioning to the college environment, especially as an athlete. So, what kind of support systems does a school offer to help those kids be successful in the classroom as well as on the field?
So outside of athletics, we have free tutoring for every single course. Is not just a math center or math or science center. They have a schedule built out for every single class has a tutor. Um, we also have one of the biggest things that I like to share with that recruits, two things. Number one, our director of housing and student life, they plan activities for the students outside of their scope. So for instance, they bring paintball twice a year when the weather permits, slip and slide stuff. Um, the other thing is we have a program called Adopt the Pronghorn, and it's basically where host families in town are involved with these kids, and it goes a long way with the international. So, for instance, I have a kid from Africa who can't go home for Christmas or can't go home for Thanksgiving, so these families invite him over and give him a homemade meal, and they become very close. So we have that program. We obviously have a counselor, mental health counselor on campus, which definitely goes a long way. I don't think, sometimes people don't realize the importance of that. Um, there's kids that need it, and it can be confidential, or they can come up to me and say, "Hey, coach, I need help." So that's there. So I think those few things just go a long way here, and um, the good thing about Gillette too for community college, we have like strength and conditioning staff, so they work with the players outside, like, "Hey, I want to work on this." So those are little things that are just there that help the players.
Okay. Well, let's fast forward to the fall. Let's just say we're, in the heart of that season. Kind of walk me through what's a typical week look like for the players, winter classes, practices, game cadence, all that kind of stuff.
So we check in on July 31st and we hit the ground running August 1st. We get a pretty long preseason, because school doesn't start till the 26th, I think it is that Monday. So during preseason, we'll train 2 to 3 times a day for about six. We'll give them one day off on Sundays. Obviously, we'll manage the load. We're not going to do 3 times a day every day. We'll play about 3 scrimmages in those 3 weeks of preseason. And then once school starts, our season starts. During regular season, before conference play, we'll usually play Wednesday, Saturday, try to get 2 games in a week. Here, the seasons are very compact because of the weather, right? November here is you're looking at like 10 degrees. So we try to get those games in. So during the week when we had those games, we'll train every day. Obviously, we'll manage the load before game day. Um, and then we'll give them rest periods on Sunday. Once school starts, they go to school. School here is done. The last class ends at 3:45. So they typically go to class from 8 a.m. to 3:45. Obviously, schedules vary. And then we train every day, 4:30 to 6:30 here. And then, when conference play starts, like I mentioned, we play Friday, Saturday, which is not great for the legs, right? So we'll train Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, manage the load as we go, play Friday, Saturday, rest Sunday, get back after it Monday. So that's what it looks like typically, obviously subject to change, based on weather and stuff like that.
Okay. Well, let's talk a little bit more about the team. I mean, you mentioned what the roster sizes that you like, but what is the rest of the roster in terms of your coaching staff or support staff within the athletic department? Who else is helping out with the team?
Yeah, so I actually have as I have a full-time assistant, which is a blessing as well because usually junior colleges, those assistant positions are not great. And I have 2 volunteers from the community. So and that's a blessing as well because one of the volunteers is a teacher and speaks Spanish as well. So that helps. And then the other volunteer is a gentleman that's been part of the community for, 40 years. He runs the youth club here. So he just volunteers in time and work with our keepers. And they travel to games and everything. Outside of that, we have a full-time athletic trainer and we also have a full-time strength and conditioning coach, which also goes a long way. He manages all the weight room stuff in preseason, all the off-season type of stuff, summer packets, etc. And then we're a small athletic department. And the best thing about this department is that we all get along. I've been in programs where I never had conversations with the men's basketball coach because he didn't like me for some reason or vice versa. And here we just all get along, and that goes a long way. But that's our staff. That's our men's soccer staff.
Okay. Well, in terms of your coaching style and the style of play that you're looking to implement there, what can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so I look at 2 things when I talk about my philosophy or my style of play. Number one, the quality of players I got. I need to know what type of players I have because you need to have certain players to play a certain way. And number two, the opponent in front of me. I always say the example like I'm a big Arsenal fan. Arsenal's not going to play Man City the same way they're going to go play Sheffield United, right? So I taken those 2 things into consideration, but my preference is a possession-based style football playing out of the back. I don't like playing direct unless it's a diagonal pass that's going to be on. I like playing out of the back, building into the midfield, and then in the final third, getting creative, giving the wingers the freedom to take those 1v1s, find penetrating passes, um, and have our wingers and strikers make movements breaking the lines. So that's my style. But again, there's times where I have to play against a team that I maybe have to go more direct because they're just that good. Or sometimes I just have to play the counterattack game. But I like to play possession out of the back. I like to keep the ball. I like to keep the ball on the ground.
Okay. Well, in terms of the off season, obviously you mentioned you guys the weather's a little rough come November and well into the spring. So what does your kind of spring and off season program look like?
So the spring, we're allowed 6 games. We try to play 6 games, but obviously sometimes the weather does not permit. And something I failed to mention, so we have a rec center here, which is phenomenal rec center. I mean, it's unreal. So we have access to that. So the reason I mention this is because in those months of February, March, when it's very cold, we have the ability to play indoors. So we are able to train the whole spring, whether it be indoors, whether it be in the weight room, and stuff like that. Once we can get outside, we'll go outside. We're allowed a certain amount of hours that we can train and do stuff with the team. So we, obviously we follow those NJCAA guidelines. But in those colder times, we'll train indoors. We actually play a couple of indoor tournaments. Um, one in Rapid City and then one here locally in town that don't count towards our games because they go on their own. I tell them, hey guys, go play. Um, but yeah, we'll do a lot of weight room stuff in the spring. We'll try to get those 6 games. Usually in the spring, I play 4-year programs with the purpose of my players showcasing themselves. So, we played against South Dakota School of Mines, Montana State Billings, and then they ended up texting me after the game. It's like, hey, I like that guy. So I do that with that purpose. But yeah, that's what our spring looks like. And then once we play our last game after our last date, then we stop, graduation comes, and the guys go home for the summer. So our spring is short, cold, and to the point.
It
Yeah.
could be worse things. Could be worse things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Coach, I really appreciate your time. You've given us a lot of info, but I got one last question for you, and that
Yeah.
is, for anybody going through this college recruiting process, if there was, one piece of advice you had or one thing you would want folks to know, what would that be?
I would tell students, do your homework. And what I mean by that, and make sure you find the right fit for you. Just because the school has a label of NCAA Division One doesn't mean it's the right fit for you. Find the right fit for you. Will you fit in academically? Does it have this degree you want to go towards? Will you fit in socially? Is it a school that you think you can adapt? Financially, does it work out for you and your family? It's things like that. Do your homework, study the school you're interested in, and get to know your coach. Have a conversation, get to know them. We as coaches want to get to know you guys too, more than just a soccer player on a personal level. Do your homework, get to know your coach, make sure it's the right fit for you.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, I really appreciate the time. Wish you the best of luck this fall, and hopefully you guys can continue to build on what you've been doing there.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Alex. Take care. Hi, everybody. It's Matt from Discover College Soccer. I hope you're enjoying the podcast, whether that's on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. I also wanted to let you know about the Discover College Soccer Study Table. This is our brand new online portal that is complete with a 14-part online course giving you all of the ins and outs of the college soccer recruiting process. There's also a wealth of resources such as checklists, templates. There's the spreadsheets that have every soccer program in the country along with their coaches, their contact information, their social media information, some basic stats about the school, and more. Plus, there's an online community where you can ask your questions, share your wins, your losses, any questions that you may have around the college soccer recruiting process. It's all there at the Discover College Soccer study table that you can find at discovercollegesoccer.com/study table, and hopefully we will see you there.